And our next speaker is Brad. Brad represents Rubel. Rubel is a company providing solutions with packaging solutions for material in transit, honeycomb packaging, and a few other sort of types. So I let Brad get started.
Great, thank you very much. Afternoon, everyone. So Rebel Packaging is my company, and what we specialize in is transport packaging. So what transport packaging really specifically for us is really about protecting anything delicate, valuable, large, cumbersome in transport. It's largely business to business. So from our perspective, from the sustainability conservation side, it's a lot around what's hidden behind the scenes. I get the feeling that a lot of sort of retail packaging or shelf packaging is what gets a lot of the attention. What I want to talk about today is the stuff that you don't see because it's not in the consumer's face. So what we do is we prevent damage in transport, delicate, valuable things. We do this using the smartest, strongest, most sustainable transport packaging materials, largely paper. And we manufacture boxes, crates, pallets, and honeycomb board, which we use for a lot of these things. So when we're talking about transport packaging, the reason for its existence really is obviously protection. And what are you protecting from? You're protecting from impact, you're protecting from shock, you're protecting from abrasion, you're protecting from load and pressure. I've been doing this for over 20 years now, and the bottom line, the common denominator that you find in a lot of manufacturing companies is they want to wrap it and pack it and stuff it and fill it with as much as possible. So what I'm talking about, the reason we really exist is to really combat a lot of the, I suppose, what's been around as cheap, available materials for many, many years now that people just don't know any better about what to use and what actually does happen with this stuff. There's not a lot that's really said about it from a manufacturing perspective. Even some of the laws that have been brought out lately with, say, polystyrene is largely targeted towards the consumer, delivering to retail, but there's nothing about business to business. So what we're really looking at is things like bubble wrap, stretch wrap, polystyrene, polyethylene, timber crates. These are the things that we come up against, and we really think through in our designs every day to how do we reduce this stuff? How do we change people's perceptions and understanding of where the stuff really is needed, and is it really achieving the purpose that it's intended, or is it just there for more of a psychological comfort when they're sending something off? I feel better because I've used a whole roll of bubble wrap to pack it up. It's not entirely practical all the time. So there's a couple statistics there and a few numbers there. Who knows if it's even true? This is stuff that's you just find all over the place. And what we're trying to do is really get some understanding of what is actually happening here. What we do know from our own experience, even a product like polyethylene, which is really touted to be a much more environmental alternative to polystyrene, it's really termed as being recyclable, but it's very, very hard, if not largely impossible, for the consumer or for people to actually do. You can take it to places, places that will take the waste, but on a commercial basis, if we had a huge amount of this as a byproduct or an offcut, you try and take it back to the manufacturer, and they're not interested. And you take it, they will guide you in the direction of 3 or 4 recycling centers that you phone up, and they don't want to take it either. So they might be able to recycle it, but I think, as we've spoken about in a few conversations, is there any use for it? Is the complication around recycling it so great that it's not actually worth the effort? And this is, I think, some of the education that we think the world really needs to see. Timber crates, an alternative to timber crating, has really been our go-to for many years, because timber crates, obviously, hopefully the timber is coming from sustainable forests. It's not virgin timber. But then it's one-way use, and it's going into landfill because it's infected with nails and who knows what else. It's broken open with a crowbar, can't be reused again. It's largely custom made, so there isn't a lot of alternative to do it. So yeah, the language around recycling is, I think, a really, really, really important one that I think the market and industries need to get. So what are we doing around this stuff? So Honeycomb Board is the product we manufacture, and we convert that into just as many transport packaging forms as we can. Internal packaging supports, boxes, crates. And the amazing thing about this material is it's obviously 100% made from recycled materials. It's recyclable, but it's got the weight of the strength of a timber crate. You can pack over a ton inside, you can pack over a ton on top, and it's just a paper box. You can make it into any form or shape. You see, you can ship 2.5-ton vehicles in it, and it's just fully made of paper and straight back into the paper chain. So there's a lot around the design and the reasons for that, and the purpose of it. But what I really want to talk about is the design elements. This is the part I'm really passionate about. Is that when you talk about transport packaging and all those packaging fillers and stuff I mentioned before, some of the important things to understand is often when you're protecting something for transport, you need to look at what the vulnerable areas are. Where can this get damaged? What am I worried about? Where can I touch this? And where can't I touch it? And when you look at it sometimes that simply, you can often identify that you don't need to touch things often that much to protect it for transport. So it's about minimal contact points and dispersing the pressure from those points. So you don't need reams and reams of bubble wrap and foam and et cetera to achieve that. From an abrasion perspective, abrasion only happens when things move. So if you can lock it in place and prevent it from moving by having the form or the shape, like a lot of the work that I think you're going to talk about, you can brace it, and then you don't have abrasion, even though it's protected by paper, which might be a concern for you. And one of the most important parts is the psychology of it. When people want to transport something valuable, their instinct is to try and make it look as strong as possible because they want it to be safe. I go a complete opposite. I want it to make it look as weak as possible because the person who's transporting and moving it around, I don't want them to put stuff on top. I don't want them to leave it out in the rain. I want them to think it's weak. Just so happens it can take tons of weight packed inside and on top. So there's a lot that can be done around actually making it look weak, making it look vulnerable, using minimal packing materials, and actually getting a better result, and therefore achieving all of these sustainability goals. So just to wrap up, I think there's a lot being done here. I think there's some obviously great panelists here. We'll talk about what's happening with government and taxes, but I think a lot of education in those areas. I have a lot of hope in the future, with my young kids growing up in the education that they're getting in schools to be able to understand sustainability and what's important. So I believe the wave is building, and it's only going to become more important. And I think better education around the word recyclable and holding people accountable for what that word actually means and where they can actually use it will go a long way as well. Thank you very much.